I truly believe that everybody has a gift that they can use to make the world a little bit of a better place. And we have the choice to when you go into business, you're using that gift not only to change the lives of the people that we want to serve, but to change our lives as well.
Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where I teach you how to create powerful strategic messaging so you can attract high-paying clients and scale your business to the next level with ease. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for ambitious, value-driven female entrepreneurs like you who are ready to scale from 6 to 7 figures without sacrificing what matters most, your values, your time, and your family. In each episode, we'll dive into the art of crafting persuasive words for high-converting websites and sales pages, and you'll learn strategic copy techniques so you attract premium clients and boost your revenue. This podcast was created to help you tackle the challenges of balancing family life and business growth as you take your business to the next level. If you're ready to add a trusted partner to your team, making sure your message is compelling, consistent, and impactful, then you're in the right place. If you've ever felt uncomfortable selling your offers, if you've worried that being persuasive might come off as pushy, or if you've just been told to use tactics that just really don't sit right with you, I want you to know you are not alone. I think many of us have been there. I've been there. Okay. So today I am bringing on a guest, Jan Ditchfield. Now, Jan, she is a business strategist who's bringing something totally refreshing to the world of sales, which is ethics. Before Jan worked with entrepreneurs, she actually spent many years in the world of professional fundraising where trust, transparency, and relationships, they are not optional, right? They're everything. This is one of the reasons why I love Jan, and it's one of the reasons why I gravitated toward her as a business strategist and wanted to bring her on to talk to you. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about what bro marketing is. Have you heard of it? At first, I didn't know what it was until I went to Jan and she answered it for me, okay? So we're going to talk about bro marketing. We're going to talk about why selling with integrity actually converts better, especially if you're playing the long game, and how to stop using tactics like fear, pressure, or guilt to get the sale and start using trust instead. At the end of the day, we want to build ethical businesses, right? And when you build an ethical business, you create higher value and long-term customers and clients. So if you want your sales copy to feel honest and powerful and not pushy, this is an episode for you. Hi, Jan. I am so glad that you have joined me today. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you, Gina, for having me here. I feel very honored.
Well, I want to dive into all things ethical sales copy with you because you are the person to talk to about this. And I want to ask you first, when we first met, I asked you, what is bro marketing? Because I had heard you speak about it. I've kind of seen it thrown around here, there, and everywhere on social media. And so explain to my audience, what is bro marketing, why you don't agree with it, and how is it different from ethical selling?
So I think this is such a great question to start off with because I believe strongly that most people don't know what bro marketing is, even if they've heard the term. And I think when we hear it, we automatically start thinking about there's dudes in suits and they're using like really high pressure tactics and they're making these huge income claims and driving sports cars. And like we have that idea, right, of just kind of like the tackiness of it all.
Yeah.
And that can be true. I'll say that. But more often than not, bro marketing is something that's really subtle, and it's so subtle that we don't recognize that it's happening to us when we're actually in the middle of a sales conversation when something unethical is being used on us. And the thing that I always say more often than not is that women actually are very, very good at this as well and use it quite consistently. So while it's not this idea that it's just men that do it, it's a universal tactic that goes across the board. And at the core of it, the difference between unethical selling and ethical selling is consent. That's what it really comes down to, more than anything else. And unethical selling is really about trying to keep the brain in a constant state of agitation so that it lessens the risk of somebody saying no to a sales offer and increases the likelihood of them saying yes because they're buying out of fear or misunderstanding or misalignment or false tactics. Whereas ethical selling really respects the buyer's role in the sales conversation. And instead, what we're doing when we sell ethically is we're working to get the brain to calm down enough when it hears the sales message start. And I can get more into that if you want, Gina.
Okay.
But the whole point is we're trying to get the brain to say yes or no. We don't want any maybes. That's what we're trying to do when we get rid of like the idea of selling ethically, is that land of the maybe, the fence sitters. We don't want those people. Whereas unethical salespeople live in that zone, because what they're trying to do is increase their conversions by getting the people who aren't too sure to say yes to something that they're not, probably isn't right for them in the beginning. Whereas those of us who are selling ethically, we don't want that, right? We're okay with the no, because we know the no means we can't help that person or it's not right for them, and we're fine with that.
Right.
And so I think for me, the reason why it gets my fur all in a knot more often than not is, one, because of my background, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit. But really, I just believe that in order for us to be really good at what we do and to live in a place of alignment, we need to be okay with learning how to sell to the people who need us and who want our products and who we can actually help, versus us always being so concerned about what are my closing rates going to be, how much money am I going to make, my conversion rates, the things that there's too much pressure put on that, instead of the pressure being put on, I want to live a life and have a business that's more focused on invitation and value rather than coercing someone into working with me. So fundamentally where it comes down to is it erodes trust. It reinforces that idea that success means exploitation. And I just think that now in this day and age, we're so far past that we need to be thinking about selling from a very different lens.
Yes, and I agree with you so much. And there's so much in there that we can unpack. So let me go back to just the beginning a little bit. How would someone be able to, what are the red flags? How would someone be able to spot, okay, whether they're reading it on the sales copy on a sales page, or let's say they're listening to a webinar, or they're actually one-on-one talking to someone just like you and I are right now, listening to a sales pitch? How would they know that, okay, this person is unethically, using some strategies, taking the bro marketing route? Give us some little indicators.
Sure. So a lot of the time, the things you want to be looking for in the red flags are emotional tactics that you want to be listening for. And I can give you a concrete example if you'd like one.
Yeah, an example would be great.
Yeah. So a concrete example, one that's used a lot with women, are other women using children and motherhood as pressure tactics for sales. So things like, if you loved your children more, you would do this. The one I heard that got me just in my knickers in a knot on this one once when I was sitting in a webinar was talking about how we're bad mothers when we're so focused on live launching and selling live. It takes us away from our children and the presence of being. That's why we should only sell evergreen. And I was like, oh, that was well done in such a nice way, right? Because what happens is it triggers all those feelings. So we start thinking, do I do that? Oh my goodness, am I letting my family down? I don't want to be a bad mother. And now our brain is agitated. You see where it goes, right? Instead of it being like, okay, let me just think logically here about, is live launching really worse than evergreen? Is it and the fact is, no, it's not, right? There is no one right way to sell something. There's right ways to do it, but there's no actual specific a container that's going to be better than something else. So the things I always look for are things that have to do, if it seems too good to be true, question it. That's when I always sit and think about that. Timers, countdowns, those are the things. The doors are closing. Get in now before the doors close, when really there is no door closing whatsoever. You could get in next Tuesday if you want it. False urgency. Yeah, right there. So it's always about trying to get us to make a decision in a really fast, rapid way without giving us enough space to think about whether this is the thing that we want, need, or we're going to benefit from. And so those are the things you look at. If you feel pressured, odds are you're being pressured.
Okay. That example reminds me of something so funny. Right after I had my first daughter, this is probably a couple of weeks from after me giving birth, and I'm sitting down and watching TV, and just this TV commercial comes up, and it's selling juice, grape juice or something like that. And these are simple things that we hear all the time, but I remember it really hit me hard because, of course, I'm this new mom who doesn't know what I'm doing. And it said something like, I know I'm not going to get it completely right, but it was the best moms give their child this. and then enter the name of the product. And I was like, ah,
Yep.
I mean, I spotted it right away. I'm like, that is just BS.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And that's bro marketing. That's what it is. You see it all the time. That's why I say it's works. Like women do it really, really well because we have this idea that men are the only ones that do this type of selling.
Yeah.
But we do it differently as women. So it has to do with things like your BFF or, a lot of guilt and shame about how much time you're working, the hours you put in and things like where you're working from. Like you're not working on a beach and you should be enjoying a beach instead of sitting in your office. And if you're doing 5 days a week, there's something wrong with you. We're successful people only work 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's all bro marketing tactics, all of them, because it's built on shame, emotional manipulation, and some sense of belief that there's something wrong with you. And only that person who's selling that miracle cure can fix the ailment that you have. When in fact, there is nothing wrong with you. You just work 5 days a week, like most humans do.
Yeah. And some people like doing that. It reminds me also, a couple of weeks ago, we had someone come to our house. And it was a company that was giving us a quote on new windows. And usually, we have these people knock on our door all the time. And usually we say no. My husband is the one that answers the door. But this guy gave such a good sales pitch. He's like, yeah, I want you to come over and talk to us one night. Like he just wanted to give him a chance, He works in sales. I work in sales, So we're like, okay, this guy worked hard. Let's give him a chance. So he comes over. He was at our house for like 3 hours. Counting all the windows, doing measurements, all of that, right? But at the end of it, he gave us this big quote of what it was going to be. And we were just like so surprised. But he said, but if you sign today, I'll take $25,000 off of the quote. And I'm like, this just false urgency. Because if you could take that much money off this huge quote, then I know you could do the same thing tomorrow and the day after. So it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah, all the time.
So talk to us a little bit about what do you mean by consent?
So consent really comes down to, again, so I'm going to back it up a little bit more. So what happens with the brain when the brain hears a sales message is the brain has a natural reaction to it. It comes from, again, us living in caves back in the day when we thought we were going to get eaten by, tigers and all of that. And the whole thing for us now as humans is that one of the things that we value the most is money. And the reason we value it is because it's what keeps us safe. So when we look at money, we think about money being, this pays my mortgage, it takes care of my family, it feeds my children, it clothes me, it's what drives my vehicle. It's all the things I need to keep my life where I want my life to be is dependent on money. So when we as salespeople come in and say, I want your money, the brain immediately freaks out. So the second we hear a sales message, it goes into a panic mode and it starts to have these thoughts. And there's very specific thoughts it has in a very specific order. And I teach that all the time. But the point of what it's doing and why it's having that reaction is it's trying to make sure that we don't make poor decisions, right? Don't give your money away is what it is. So when our brain is agitated, it can't freely give consent. It can't say yes to something because it doesn't have enough information to process what it is that it's saying yes to. So when we sell ethically, what we're doing is trying to get the brain to those objections it's hearing to quiet down enough so that it can say, do I really need this or do I not really? Like, do I want it? Do I need it? Is it going to help my life or not? And then we can make the decision to say yes or no, right? There's consent right there. Yes or no, or consent. But that maybe zone where we're like, well, maybe it might be right for us. Well, if they give me more bonuses, then maybe I'll buy it. Well, no, now they're telling me that I have to buy it today or else I'm going to lose that $25,000 bonus, discount, right? So maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't make this. Am I making the right choice? And the brain's not making a consensual decision then. It's just fear buying is what happens. And that's when, as a business owner, how that hurts us is that it increases our refund requests because people are not the right people buying from us. Yeah. And once they wake up the next day and they're like, oh my God, I just spent $30,000 on windows that I don't need to have. We're trying to figure out how to get out of this, right? So immediately is what we're doing. So it also really puts a risk on our reputation, because unhappy people tell people that they're unhappy. So if we sell that way and people are out there telling everybody, well, she said the door's closed, but then 2 days later, she was still letting people into her course. Word gets out. Like, we know who does that. Yeah. Everybody knows who does that. So those are a lot of the reasons why, when we have to be thinking about how we're selling, is the long-term damage it can do on our business, but also the damage that it does on the people that we're here to serve. Because we don't actually think about, that's not talked about, of what that emotional and financial damage looks like to the people who are being guilted into purchases instead of being able to make one ethically.
If you've been thinking, something's off with my copy, but I can't quite put my finger on it, you're exactly who the Yes Vault was built for. The Yes Vault is your private resource hub where I'll show you literally what high-converting premium messaging looks like in 3 private videos. We're talking high-converting copy and messaging examples, clear breakdowns, and fast clarity on why people aren't saying yes yet. Plus, every guest on season 2 of the podcast shares a free resource, and they're waiting for you inside the vault. So if you want to stop guessing and start seeing what works, for only $14, you can unlock the Yes Vault now by going to the show notes or visiting whitehousesm.com/the Yes Vault. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure.
So one of the reasons why I was very attracted to you as a business strategist is that you come from the background of fundraising. And years ago, I was on a board of directors for a school that my kids were going to. And I worked very closely with the person who was doing the fundraising and marketing. And I know how hard that person worked. And it was all about building relationships. And in business, I think that's my own belief, is when it comes down to it, it's all about building relationships. You want to bring new clients in, you got to build relationships. It's not like a quick thing that just happens overnight. And there are ethical ways to do it, and there are unethical ways. And working in fundraising, you need to be very ethical.
Very.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my career was fundraising, and I spent a very long time in my career. It was close to 2 decades that I did. I was there before I chose to start my business and move on and become an entrepreneur. And like you said, it's a very ethical field. People don't realize that. I think a lot of the time that we work under codes of ethics. In Canada, a lot of people go, and there's like certifications that come with it as well. You take a pledge that you are always going to do things above board. You are carrying a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, because fundraisers are responsible for the financial success of that organization. So that means not just the work the organization does, but the people who are there making sure that they still get paid. So there's a lot of pressure when you're in that career. And at the end of the day, we are salespeople. That's what we are. Fundraisers are salespeople. But the difference between selling a course or a product and that, fundraisers are selling hope. That's the entire goal of what it is. We are selling the belief that something better is possible in the world, in people's lives, in that moment. And everything we do is built around connection, trust, shared purpose, and it's deeply rooted in empathy. And I think this is where that whole idea for me of bro marketing, right? It's the empathy part of it. Right. Is I just can't get behind it, because I'm so empathetic towards the people that I work with, because I get it. I am no different than anyone I work with. We have the same dreams and the same goals. We want the same things. So for me, fundraising really has always been about never pressuring somebody into giving. Is more about inspiring them with that vision so that you can invite them into the conversation and being part of something meaningful, not just a transaction at the end of the day.
I love that. So can you tell us, just explain a little bit about a mindset shift that we can make where we could sell like a fundraiser, and how that actually helps us build trust and connection with buyers?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. I think one of the things to think about a lot of the time when you're thinking about making that connection is thinking about selling as an act of service, not just thinking about selling as being something that is, again, transactional. There, the service idea is talked about a lot online, and I know some people have like strong feelings about selling as not being service. Like it's what it is. It's transactional, and this is what it is. But when you come from a fundraising background, to us, it is. I don't know any other way to serve people except to do it through this is how we can work together, right? And the core of that, what it comes down to, I think, and maybe this is where the shift comes from. I truly believe that everybody has a gift that they can use to make the world a little bit of a better place. And we have the choice when you go into business, you're using that gift not only to change the lives of the people that we want to serve, but to change our lives as well. And so when we're focused on it from that concept of saying, like, my gift is something I need to serve, if we don't ask for money, if we don't learn to sell, if we don't actually learn to value ourselves and price properly, actually sell, not think we're selling, but actually sell,
right,
then we can't truly make that difference happen. And when we give away our things for free, or when we undervalue ourselves, what we're just doing is setting ourselves up for burnout, because we can't make that sustainable. And even more so then, if we can't make it sustainable, then we can't live our purpose, because we can't help the people that we're meant to help. So that service for me always comes back to that notion of my gift is something that I can help another person live a better life because of it, but I can also help my life be better because of it as well. And that's where we live in harmony. And the more successful I am, then also that leaves me with the more opportunities that I have to be able to give to the causes I care about, to be able to support the things that I care about beyond just my business, be able to show up for my family differently. All of those things come back to that mindset shift of, if you want to really embrace the notion of selling, start looking at it as service.
Very, very good. It made me think about, I get this question here or there, here and around, about, let's just think about sales pages. So I've gotten the question before where someone's like, I don't want to push into the pain points too hard, right? Because what they're really saying is, well, they don't want to ruffle the feathers, or they don't want to offend the person, or they are empathetic and they don't want to hurt that person by bringing up these memories or whatever it is. Okay. But it also, I think, stems from just being afraid to put yourself out there to sell. Right. And I believe that you have to push into those pain points so that you can almost build that connection with that person, so that you can say, you know what, I understand your challenges. Because people want to work with people, or work with someone that understands them, right? They're trying to choose that right person. So what would you say to someone if they asked you about that? And maybe it would also sound like a question like, oh, I feel like I'm being too pushy. What advice would you give?
Yeah. So this is really common. I think extremely common.
Yeah.
And I hear this more than anything, even more than the what's ethical versus unethical selling, which comes down to that balance between how do I sell and how do I do it in a way, again, that's not pushy. That, like, what is that line between there?
Right.
So I think really what it's going to come down to a lot of the time, and I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive to what I've said before, is trusting your gut. I think a lot of that too. I talk a lot about gut checks. Like when you're selling, there should be you can feel it, right? You can feel when you're in the zone. You feel when you feel good about what you're saying. You can feel it in your own skin when you know that you're in the zone. That's what I'm air quoting the zone around there as well. But that gut check is what I always want people to come and start really to think about. If you're saying something because someone told you to say it, does it make you feel good when you say it? If you are following sales practices that are commonly taught, especially in the online space, right? And they're saying, well, you have to sell this, like you have to use evergreen versus live launching, or you need to use, countdown timers because it will increase your chances of sales. All of those tactics that are out there. Do you want to do those things? That's what it comes down to a lot of the time, because we we get so caught up in watching what everybody else does and just following suit instead of taking time to sit in our own space with our own values, our own needs, our own desires, and to say, do I want to learn to sell in a way that, again, is more about value alignment and less about tactics? Because really good salespeople, most of the time, they're doing exactly what you just said, which is we're connecting with other human beings on a human level. That's all this is about, right? And it's not being done because we have ulterior motives. We're doing it because we care, right? I care about you, Gina, and I want you to be successful, and I want to watch you do all the amazing, wonderful things that I know you can do on such a huge level, and sit there and cheer for you and do all of those things. But the connection that's going to come from that is, how can I be the right person to be part of your world through the skill sets that I have? And I can use that to articulate it properly. So I think at the end of the day, this is a very rambly answer to say that when you're selling, I always come back to what matters to you in alignment with what you stand for as a human being. Because if you do feel like you're pressuring somebody, then probably you are. That's probably what it's going to come down to. And there's a lot of, like, when I moved in from the charity world into this world, this online space, I had to do a lot of mindset work when I first came in, because I came with so much baggage out of the charity world, which is all about, we have to be very humble and we don't spend a lot of money. And none of us ever have any money to spend in the charity world. And we have to do a lot of those things, to suddenly being like, here I am, I'm now asking for money for me, not for a cause. And that threw me for a lot of the time to get that around that idea that I'm worthy of asking for something, and I'm worthy of being asking for money that, is going to help fund my life. But also at the same time, I'm also worthy of asking for this so that I can help more people. So it's always going to come down to sentiment and gut check for me more than anything else.
So good. Again, there's so much you said that there's just in there that's just gold. And I just want to say, for those of you listening right now, you don't need to feel guilty for making money.
No, not at all.
We shouldn't feel guilty for asking. We have this gift to give to people that are going to help other people, and it is serving, right? So
it is serving. Yeah. An interesting thing, just the fundraising thing, to circle back to that. Most people don't realize, but fundraisers only hear yes 20% of the time. And our job is to ask 100% of the time. And so that means 80% of the time people are saying no to us. So you learn really quickly to have a mindset of abundance and gratitude. Otherwise, you're going to be like, you just lose it all in scarcity otherwise, because that's a lot of people who say no, right? A lot. You think about 80% of the time, someone's like, no, not going to give you money. So don't be afraid of the yes. That's what it really comes down to, because you will hear no, but the no isn't going to do any damage to you at the end of the day. That's right. It's just clearing ways for more yeses. So that would be what I would say, is just don't be afraid of the yes.
And don't be afraid of the no. Did you ever read that book, Go for No?
No, I haven't read that.
Oh, look it up. It's just a really short book. And I think it's been over 10 years since I read it. I was in another business, and it was a sales-based business. And that was on the list of professional development books to read. And it's called Go for No. If I remember correctly, it's kind of like, it's like a story, there's a theme, there's a point to it, and it's told through a story. And, the whole idea is, instead of setting how many yeses you're going to get, choose how many no's you're going to get. Like today, I'm going to go for, 20 no's. And you don't know if you're going to get one yes out of that, or you might get 5 yeses out of that. But if you stop after your first yes, then you're missing out, right? Instead, go for the no's.
Yeah, I like that mindset. That's a good one to have.
It's good. It's good. So for the woman listening right now, who wants to be more values aligned in her messaging, but still wants to make sales, what's that first shift that you would invite her to make?
Oh, I think that a lot of it is going to come down to letting a lot of old beliefs go. I think more than anything else, I think a lot of it is the beliefs that you have to be aggressive or masculine to be effective in selling. I think that's such you don't need to be that at all, right? We can be soft leaders and still be leaders. I think that the belief that empathy and ambition have to be like they're mutually exclusive. I also don't you can be ambitious and be deeply empathetic. I am both. I'm highly ambitious, and I am one of the most empathetic people you will ever meet in the world. And you also can be kind and authentic, and you can still close a sale powerfully. So it always comes back right down to learning how to master the art of sales without changing who you are as a person fundamentally, because it is just a skill set. That's what it comes down to. And when we get really good at specific skills, I mean, that's why we come to you, right? Like, I'm not a copywriter at all, not in any way, shape, or form. So you go to somebody to learn how to become a copywriter, or you hire someone to do it for you, which is even a better idea, in my opinion. But it's the same idea. Yeah, I'll say it again. Hire Gina. But from the standpoint of selling, it's the same. It's just learning a skill set. And that doesn't mean you have to change who you are. It's just you add it to who you are is what it is. So sales, the big mindset that I wish people would really kind of get behind is that it's just guiding someone toward a decision that's right for them. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it's that simple.
Right. And that's another thing that I really appreciate about you is that you are willing to say no to someone if it is not the right fit.
Yeah, I've said no many a time, and I'm sure that other people would shake their head at me and be like, "But you're crazy to say no to a sale." But if they're not the right fit, I can't help at the end. And I think that's a very strong indicator of values, is that I'm more concerned about the actual helping than I am about the money.
Yeah, I've had, you and I have talked about this. I think we have talked about this. There's been a few jobs this year that I've had to turn down because I'm like, I'm just not the right fit copywriter for you. I can't write on this topic. And so every time that happens, I try to find another copywriter friend that I know to give that job to. But I will admit that I get nervous every single time I have to say no because I don't want to offend anybody, but I can say 100% of the time that I've told someone no and have explained why, they have always come back and just said, thank you.
Yeah.
So anyone listening here, if you have to turn someone down, just my advice there is just to talk from the heart. You don't have to go into all the reasons why, but, just, give them a little something and more likely than not, you'll actually get a good response back.
100%. And that goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, right? Because that's an ethical value for you where you're like, if I can't actually help the person and therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide them towards somebody who can. And that's what we're here to do. And it's going to come back tenfold. That's when the universe looks and goes, oh, we're going to reward you for everything you just did. And suddenly your world's full of all the right people instead. But it's no different, I think, than, we choose the wrong partners or we choose the wrong jobs. Anytime we're out of alignment, it's never going to serve us.
Yeah, I agree. So I like to always ask my guests this. What's one piece of advice you'd give to female entrepreneurs and business owners on how to have a thriving business while juggling it all, like all the business and family life?
So for me, I think this is a question that I do a lot of thinking on because this is pretty much like, this is what I do, right? How do I help the women I work with juggle it all? I think for a very long time, we have been inundated with the belief that hustle is the indicator of success. And that if we want to get to have success, we need to hustle through it all. We need to hold all the balls. We need to keep all the balls perfectly aligned all the time. We need to add more balls. We've got to just keep going. And I have moved. I came from a career that was about hustle, like big time hustle. That's all we did was we were constantly hustling all the time. And I think now that we're starting to see this transition happen, especially for women in business, where it's now about slow growth and slow alignment, and that we're recognizing that there's seasons to everything, and we need to be present for the season that we're in now. Which means sometimes you're going to have seasons where business, you have the space for it. And when you're there, run as fast as you want, do as much as you want, enjoy it as much as you can. And other times the season might be a season of family. Like right now, as we're recording this, it's summer, right? I have a little human at home. This is not a season where I'm running like crazy. It's a season where I'm doing slow living and loving on my daughter and doing family things. And I'm working in between the hours, right, where I can. And those are the messages I think that we need to think here more, is that we don't have to be at 110% all the time. And that slow growth is sustainable growth, which is, I know it's harder when you're in it to hear that message and think, oh, but I want it and I want it now, versus knowing that that has just been such a reinforced belief system, especially online, which is all about it has to be instant instead of it being like, let's just approach life a bit more like a marathon, right? Let's go one water station at a time, appreciate the road while we're running on it, stop to catch our breath, wave at the people along the way, maybe stop and have a little bit of water at the station for a while and then keep going, because we're still going to hit that finish line, but we'll enjoy the journey a lot more while we get there.
I very much agree with you, because we are no good to the people around us when we are overwhelmed and burned out.
No, and we're no good to ourselves too. Yeah, well, so have I, right? And I don't want to go there anymore. Yeah, we've been.
No, I think learn our lesson and move on.
Anyway. Yeah, not doing it again. Yep.
So, Jan, you have something for us, and it's a free resource called the Ethical Sales Starter Kit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can. So it's basically like a little mini course or a bundle, I would say, that's filled with resources for people who are just getting really kind of comfortable with the idea of selling ethically. And there's some video trainings in it. It's full of swipe files. There's prompts. There's some workbooks. There's some mindset videos. It's just really like the perfect little starter kit to start thinking about, how can I learn to sell in a way that's very aligned, very confident, and using ethical tactics along the way, so that I can increase my revenue and increase my business and then do good things for myself and my family and the world with the money that I'm making. And it's all free. I love it. It's a jam-packed, value-packed is what it is.
Awesome. I'm excited to grab it myself. So if you guys are listening and you want the Ethical Sales Starter Kit, you can grab it in the Yes Vault, and that will be at www.whitehousesm.com/the Yes Vault. That's a lot to say.
That's right. There you go.
But thank you. And tell us, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about all the things you offer?
Awesome. Well, I have a podcast as well, and that's always a good place to start. And that is The Business of Good. I release episodes 2 times a week, and we focus on everything that has to do with growing a business that gives back and selling ethically and marketing with purpose. I'm also on Instagram at janditchfield.co. You can find me on the web at janditchfield.co and on Facebook at janditchfield.co. You will find me if you just type in janditchfield.co. Somewhere I'll show up.
You're on LinkedIn. You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere. I know.
Yes, which is good. It's easy to find you. So I'm just excited about this conversation we had. And I know I've just heard stories, of people just having all these bad experiences, things. And I'm going to go a little bit more into it in the next few episodes. But this is a great starter conversation for how to sell ethically and how to do that in your copy, which I'm going to get more into the next 2 episodes coming up. So for those of you listening, make sure to catch next week's episode and the one after that. So thank you, Jan, so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Oh, I love you, Gina. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of 7-Figure Copy. If you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star review on your favorite platform and follow me on Instagram for more insights. Can you think of one female entrepreneur or small business owner right now who could benefit from listening to this podcast? Please share this episode with them. And if you're ready to hand off the copy for your website, emails, and sales pages, head over to www.whitehousesm.com to book a complimentary copy chat with me. Let's partner together to take your business to the next level.